Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the EmpowerMAN podcast. We are doing this live on a Tuesday, and I am joined on this beautiful Tuesday by the man who will never let the government shut him down, but he will be the one that shuts down the government. He is the man who is the champion of the Second Amendment. He is the man who is making testosterone great in every aspect for every man out there. He is the human science project. He is the champion of protein supplements. He is an entrepreneur, a patriot, a family man. He's my boy, and he's your boy. Let's give it up for Greg A. Todora the First. Sir, how are we doing?
Good afternoon, Mike. I'm doing great. How are you doing this wonderful afternoon?
Well, it's a rainy day in South Florida.
It's been raining for 4 days here.
I don't know if it's rain or if it's our forefathers crying from the heavens.
Could be that.
Could be. I am having a Cafe Bustelo in our official EmpowerMAN coffee mug.
Looks good.
And I love that flag, and I love those lights in the background, my friend. You are becoming quite the production person there, sir, with your setup. Looks good.
Just, setting the ambiance, setting the tone here. Got a little red to go with our logo.
I love it. I love it. That hat looks real good. Where'd you get that hat?
Thank you, sir. That's a GBRS group. And I was going to ask you before you got to me, I want a shirt like that.
Well, when they decide to start filming again, I will definitely get you one, sir. But these were from a taping that we did back in May. There was a relaunch of Championship Wrestling from Florida, which anybody who's watching from Florida knows in the 70s, 80s, I would probably venture to guess in the 60s, 50s, goes back that far. Eddie Graham ran a territory here called Championship Wrestling from Florida, or Florida Championship Wrestling. And we were trying to bring that back. So we had about 2 days of tapings, and it was a lot of fun. And doing TV is really interesting. Like, I learned a lot. It was actually really, really cool because I had never done anything like that before. I did a few spots on TV, back in the day, but I never nothing like that. It was actually really cool. So next time it comes around, sir, I'll get you one in a medium.
Yes, a medium, otherwise known as a double X.
Yeah, because you'll have veins popping out of every orifice.
Yeah, right.
Greggy T, we had a great episode last week with the Lepardos. Such a inspiring, motivational episode. Curtis gave us some great tips, and Kara's passion for our country really rang through. And really, it reminded me of like a throwback of when times were different. I think we always can relate to that.
Yeah, what a great couple, and what a great story they have. And I commend them, doing the work that they're doing, and
100%.
as a family unit, it's pretty cool to see. And I wish more people would do the same. So, big shout out to them. It was really awesome.
Yeah, and we look forward to having them back on the podcast very, very soon.
For sure.
We have some great stuff coming up. We have some great guests coming up, some great content. Thanksgiving. We've got Christmas. We also got our Veterans Day episode, which is going to be huge. We also have our we're also going to do a tribute for Pearl Harbor, which I think will be really cool because that's often forgotten. And like Curtis said, guys like us, we have to start it. We got to keep it going. We have to make sure that we keep these events live, and for all the men that we lost, on that day.
For sure.
And its significance. But Greggy T, we'll dive right into it on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Don't let your setback derail your comeback. I find sometimes it's very easy to get knocked down, and it can be hard to get back up, but I always find my way on my feet. Little things that derail us, whether it's an argument with a friend, whether it's an argument with your loved one, whether it's, trying to break a bad habit, then falling back into that bad habit.
An injury,
a loss. Let me ask you a question, Greg, just to start off. Do you think life happens to us? Do you think life happens for us? Or do you think it's a combination of the two?
It's a good one. I mean, my immediate knee-jerk reaction is it's a little bit of both. I think life happens for us, life is given to us, and which is a tremendous gift. And I try to remind myself every day not to waste it, especially for the people that created me, my mom and dad, and their heritage and their mom and dads and the whole ancestral tree. But life happens to us as well. And it's a culmination of not letting the all the negatives that you and I always talk about that could potentially sidetrack you or keep you stuck or get depressed or down, not moving forward. So it's to overcome that and keep, like you always say, keep going. You will land on your feet. You got to get through all the shittiness before the green pastures.
Yeah. When life happens to us, do you ever find yourself? I know I get caught in this mindset sometimes financially, where you're like, oh man, why does this happen to me? Why does it feel like everything I'm doing, all the work I'm doing, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck? Or why do these bills keep piling up? Or just when I think I have money, it goes out for bills
Yeah.
again. And that's kind of like life happening to us, especially when it
Hmm.
comes to finances.
Yep.
Um, what some of the ways that you would overcome a thought like that? Because I know it happens. I'm sure it happens to you, me,
Hmm.
most
Yep.
of the people that are living out there. We get into that victim. It's very easy to let a setback kind of put you into that victim mindset. How do you how do you keep plugging along? What do you say to yourself, or what techniques do you use to kind of snap out of that mindset of life happening to us?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. It's very easy to just put your little victim blanket hat on and just go be that person every day. I'm a victim, I'm a victim. Then you get viewed as a victim, and then you're going to be labeled a victim. And once you're labeled, it's hard to change people's perspectives of you. So I think it's critical to not sit in that mindset too long. It's okay to get down or upset. You got to shake it off and move on. The best way I found to do that is educate yourself on the topic that's bringing you down. Like you just brought up finances. Like, okay, I'm paycheck to paycheck. Okay, why is that? You got to look inward, but you have to be honest with yourself and not, if you're going to do a budget on a piece of paper, you got to put everything down. And I mean everything. Don't skip things like, oh, yeah, like, oh, I rented a movie on Netflix. I won't count that. No, everything's got to go. Even if it's $2, it's got to go down. And you have to, once you're honest with yourself, speaking of finances, once you're honest with yourself and you can start educating to where your money's going so you can allocate what you're bringing in appropriately. And obviously, there's a totem pole of priorities. It's your rent or your mortgage, your cell phone, cable internet, food, whatever. Everyone's is different, but mostly the ones at the top are the same. You have to really look inward and take notice of where your money's going. If you find that you're not making enough money, well, then you have a couple options. Scale back on the luxury items or the things that aren't essential or necessary, and or number 2 is make more money. There's always way to make more money. I believe, this is my personal opinion, I think the younger generation looks at having a second or a third job as a negative. When you and I were growing up, it was a positive. Yeah,
Agreed.
nobody wants to really do it, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. So if you don't wanna take away from the column of your expenses, then you need to add on to your income side. So, that's one way to do
Agreed.
it.
And especially owning your own business, you have to constantly keep thinking of ways to grow your business, increase
Yeah,
revenue.
and
Unfortunately, go
yep.
ahead.
No, you just reminded me of that, of owning your own business. So, a lot of people, I made this mistake early on. You don't check your checking account and your credit cards with a fine-tooth comb. Like, I was taught to always go through it every month. And, oh, it's so easy. Just take, 10 minutes, go through all your cards. Most people don't do it. So, use an example. My wife had a down payment on a pre-K or something like that, just a deposit for a school in the area, and she had thought she canceled it. but you didn't. So then if you don't cancel it, they charge you for the full school year.
Oh wow.
So she got a notice like, oh, ding, X amount has been applied to your credit card. And she freaked out. And I went, all right, calm down. Let's call the school administrator, who's the nicest lady in the world. She's super cool. She took it right off. No big deal. The point of the story is I asked, do you check your credit cards? No, I don't. So that's just one example. Granted, it was a major amount, so it caught the red flag and it
Right.
raised the alarms in the eyes. But $5 here, $50 here, $25 here. You add that up throughout the year, hundreds of dollars, if not creeping in the thousands, is probably wasted because you didn't just check. Because a lot of things are on auto payment. A lot of things, people make mistakes, human error, no matter what. Somebody doesn't press a button, your payment doesn't go through, so you have interest added on that shouldn't be. People don't take the time to comb through their finances. And one more example, the toll system in New York City. So we have an Easy Pass, and there how it is you put money on it, it's allocated. So every time you go over a bridge, it's taken off. And then when you reach a certain, they have $20 left, it alerts you and it auto puts another $50 or whatever you set it at. We got a bill in the mail yesterday. It was $460. And so I showed my wife because she drives to the city.
Right.
And I go, what's this? And she goes, oh, don't worry about it. I'm like, what? She goes, oh, I get them all the time. The lady's so nice. I call the city and they say, oh, no, you don't owe that because you're on auto pay. We just send that out. And my wife's like, well, okay, let me ask you this. If I didn't know that or ask you, and I just paid the $460, which most people probably do, they don't have to pay that. Do you think the city's going to refund that money if you don't ask?
No
So
way.
let's just say they did it, I'm being generous, 1,000 times. What's 460 times 1,000?
So
It's a lot of
46,
money. It's a
46,000. Huh?
it's a lot of money. And the point is it's the money that the city's generating off of simply a mistake that no one checked or cared to ask. I know we're going off a little bit, but the point
Oh,
is you gotta look at all of your stuff because mistakes are made and it's probably costing you money. So goes back to if you're not making enough money to pay your bills, go through everything and make sure everything's set up properly.
and it's also a way to prevent a setback financially if you're on top of it. So it's kind of like preventative
Absolutely.
maintenance. So that $460 setback can be,
Now you can't make
averted.
one of your minimum payments on your card. So now you fall behind 30 days, maybe 60 days. Now your credit goes down and the whole avalanche starts by a mistake that you didn't make. You just didn't check it. It's not your fault. But after that happens, it's now your fault. So now you're
Right.
behind and it's just, you can really start. It's like quicksand. It can really consume you pretty quick.
I agree. I agree. I think financial awareness a lot of people don't have because they
They
want to
should teach it
pretend.
in schools.
And I think like most people too, they kind of like they like to ignore things or pretend it doesn't happen to them, or oh, everything's all right. I'll just pay it next month, or I'll make the
Yep.
minimum payment. It's no big deal. When in reality, you look at one thing that people don't realize with credit cards is interest, and you pay actually.
You
You
love
pay.
interest.
I tell you, I it's crazy to think that not only are
Yeah.
you paying the principal, but the interest is just as much as the principal. And
Yep.
now you're gonna really feel like garbage because you're like, oh my god, I didn't pay this on time, or I wasn't paying attention to this, and now all that stuff accumulates because nothing in this world is free. So everything always
Nothing.
accumulates interest over time. I also believe, Greg, that life happens for us when it comes to intentionality. If we're
Yep.
intentional with our finances, if we're intentional by combing through and making sure things add up, or combing through, making a budget when it comes to finances, especially, because I think financial setbacks are probably the most ardent thing that people are going through at this time,
And
uh,
most stressful.
and most stressful. And it probably has an effect on relationships and marriages and friendships
Health,
and business and health, especially. Um,
testosterone.
Testosterone, yes, Greg, and that's why people's T levels go low. Even girls have testosterone.
Of
Obviously when
course.
they get older, they produce more testosterone than estrogen as you get to a certain point. But how do you make life happen for you? So you just made a transition in your life.
Yeah.
Now you could have stayed in a certain mindset to be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But you decided to make life happen for you in your pursuing your business ventures full time.
Yeah.
Was that a hard decision for you? Was that something that you had stewing in your mind? And then finally, when that one domino fell, you felt the freedom to put the accelerator all the way down and go for it. Like they say at Jets camp, baby, all gas, no brakes. Well, for the Jets, it's the brakes are on. But for you, there's no brakes. So did
Yeah.
that help?
It definitely, that's a great question. So yes, it definitely helped. It was festering while I was at the 9 to 5, but I always had in the back of my mind I wanted, A, B, and C of my own. But you're caught in a weird area of your life of family, bills, financial responsibility, social acceptance
Of
in all
course.
those categories. But then you have, so you're relying on your 9 to 5 to make money, but you're capped at your 9 to 5. Even if you have commissions, you're still technically you're capped. When you own your own business, the sky's the limit. And so it's festering in the back of my mind. And it's, you're not being true to yourself, which what you and I always talk about. So yes, it was festering enough to the point where I left, and it did feel good. Yes, you're nervous and anxious and all those things. That's natural. If you're not, I'd be a little worried. But you have to channel that and use it to what you were saying before. I call it mapping out your life. So you're doing life on your terms, and best you can by mapping it out on your time frame. You and I like things done quickly. Not everybody's on our timeline, so you have to be a little flexible with that. However, setting up, leaving your 9 to 5, it's a big jump. Get over it and make the next steps to move on. I've also thought about, doing side jobs here and there until the other things are built up. Granted, I'm lucky to have the ability to do certain things that I enjoy doing, like teaching swimming or
Mhm.
something like that interests me. So I don't look at it as a second job or something. I enjoy that stuff. So I'm open minded to that, where because I enjoy it. However, if I was at my 9 to 5, I wouldn't have time to do that. So it's like you said, it's a really weird area when you are stuck. I'll call it stuck in your 9 to 5.
Yeah. And then when you work for yourself, then you find yourself being involved in different projects and
Yeah.
different things, and that can take you into having a second job
Yep.
so even though it's not a second job, technically, you have your book of clients, you have your
Yep.
book of responsibilities, but then you're growing on top of that. So it becomes two jobs. Next thing you know, 12 hours have gone by and you're like, oh, geez, I got to get a workout in, or I'm exhausted. I need to get to sleep. So,
Yeah.
making sure you're intentional with your direction of where you want to go, but also making sure that you are fine comb toothing the process, whether it's finances, whether it's, you said, mapping it out, making
Yep.
sure you're as detail oriented as possible to prevent those setbacks. But then when you get into a setback, use that to get out of that so that it doesn't derail you where you want to go.
Absolutely right. And, I call it mapping. And what really stuck with me in my brain regarding this is you need a specific target. Oh, I'm going to make $1 million a year. That's a great goal. Everyone says that, but that's not a specific target. How are you going to do that? Oh, I want to make 100 grand a year. Okay, that's great. What does that look like? And everyone's like, when you ask them, how are you going to do that? Oh, I'm going to work really hard, or I'm just going to hustle, hustle, hustle. Eh, you're not going to get it. I don't think you can get lucky, maybe, but I don't think that's going to get you to that. So 100 grand in a year. Okay, call it net 100 grand.
Mhm.
There's your specific target. Now you got to work backwards. What's 100 grand broken down quarterly?
Right.
Okay, what is that? 25
25,000 a
grand.
year. Yeah.
And then you break the quarter down by month. And then I forgot what it was. And then you break that month down by day. It comes out to like $243 a day. That's what you need. There's your target. That's your real specific target. So you have to figure out how to make or generate $243 a day. to make, there's your 100 grand. Now, there might be days you don't do that. You don't stop the train and get off. You don't get all upset. Okay. You try to build and map out how you're going to make that back. That's why you look at it in a weekly, monthly, quarterly cycle. It's like anything else. It's like an investment. You don't look at investment, not a specific investment, a long term one. You don't look at it day to day. You don't even look at it month to month. Give me the year over year, because
Yep.
maybe in February it's up 21%, but then you look at it in June and it's only up 15%. You're like, "Oh my god, it's going down." But then by the end of the year it might be back up to
Yeah.
21, 22, 25, whatever. So that's why you got to look at the snapshot very specifically, and the same thing with your specific target.
Everything kind of ebbs and flows. You know,
Everything.
you kind of have to just kind of go with the flow, but also as you're going with the flow, keep certain processes and keep certain thoughts in mind so that you don't fall too far down the rabbit
I
hole.
mean, you're tremendous with your weekly budgets. And that's saying a lot, knowing you back in the
Mhm.
day. You've gotten really good because you educated yourself, you took the time to learn, and most importantly, you're dedicated to it and you are committed to your goals, and you're committed to your budgets, and it is a good feeling, right?
It's cool. It's cool in a way, and thank you for the compliments.
Of course.
But you have to understand the origins of your behavior. Why am I so bad with money? Why is my relationship with money so bad? Why is my
Mhm.
relationship with the world so bad? Why is my relationship with women so bad? If that's, of course, I'm throwing those examples out there, but understanding the origins of those behavior and understanding what it's really meant to be. And I reference the Bible a lot, and I believe the Bible really is the playbook for life. Now, sometimes the plays work, sometimes the plays don't work. Kind of like in football, sometimes so it could be first down, second down, but as long as you're moving, like you always say, forever progress, forward progress, as long as you're moving that
Yep.
ball towards the end zone, towards your ultimate goal of scoring a touchdown, so should be the way you look at things from a biblical perspective. As long as, hey, listen, I may be 4 and out and I have to punt this time, or I may get injured, but I know after I recover from my injury, I'm going to get back on the field and play. And that's how you have to look at
Yep.
it, as it's a
Yeah.
playbook. And understanding why I was like that with my budgets and my spending habits, has made me not a better business professional, in my business, but also for my personal finances, understanding I love that word interest because I didn't
Yeah.
care back in the day. Just
Mike hates
put it
interest.
down, credit card. I'll throw it down. I got it. Now you're like, oh, now I know what interest means when I'm
Yeah.
paying. A certain amount just goes towards the principal, but
It
that's
goes to
another
nothing. It's just
goes nothing.
nothing. It's
Um,
crazy.
One of the things that we got to be careful of, Greg, I feel, is not letting your past mistakes affect your future vision. Like understanding, like, hey, back in the day, I was a certain way, but people
Mhm.
evolve, people change over time, and it's very easy to put yourself back in that box. Oh my God, I'm a bad person because this happened, or I'm a bad person because this happened. I need to crawl into my little shell and hide because I'm ashamed or I'm embarrassed or something happened, either whether I did something or something happened to me that caused me that shame and guilt.
Mhm.
How do setbacks affect you? Like if you have a setback, whether it's professionally, personally, how have you handled setbacks in your life, and how have you kind of like overcome those setbacks?
Yeah, I'll use my injury as an example. So you and I, since the day we met, we enjoy working out. We enjoy lifting weights. We used to lift
Mhm.
really heavy back in the day. We enjoyed doing it, and we were super strong. You're still really strong. And I tore my left pec completely off. And that's a serious injury, I would call it that. And it required surgery. I had a great surgeon, thank God, and put it back on, and the recovery process started. That was a huge derailment in my routine because every day we are on a routine and we have specific workouts we do and specific goals, fitness wise and health wise. So I had broken my left ankle twice.
Oof.
I remember the first time I was in college playing basketball, and I was in the gym the next day with that air boot or air cast on, whatever. Like that's I hobbled in and I just did upper body and I didn't skip a beat. So when I broke it the second time when I crashed a motorcycle in the safety course at Yonkers Raceway, Trying to get points off my license, whatever. Um, I knew what to do, and I was back in the gym. Like that was no big deal.
Mm.
So I took that mindset as best I could, obviously, with a major tear like I had. I can't be in the gym the next day. Obviously, it was a pretty big surgery. But you, while you're recovering, you map out what we were talking about before with finances. Now you're just mapping out in a different area of your life your recovery. What does that look like? Okay, you have to make sure you're doing what the doctor said, the exercises when you're allowed to do them. The rehab, and now you have to bring in the nutrition. You're eating well, you're staying hydrated. I was hooked up to a really awesome ice machine for a couple weeks. You're in a sling, the whole nine, but you can still map out and get your mind focused on moving forward. You have a plan for your workouts when you get the green light, and in the meantime it gives you extra time to look within and maybe plug up some holes in your life in other areas that you might have.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember in
You
high
got to
school,
use it constructively is what I'm saying.
you have, yes. And you also, like you said, mapping it out. And one of the great things that I like to use is visualization techniques. I think having whether it's auditory, visualization, whatever it is that gets you to that place, especially when you have a setback, is extremely important. Because when I was in high school, I broke my wrist during a wrestling match in 3 places. I had a cast, and it was awful.
It's a horrible
It,
injury.
it's especially in high school because
Yeah.
it was like it just sucked. It was so bad. But, I use that time because I'm like, what am I going to do? And I was
Mhm.
already hooked on going to the gym at an early age. So at 14, I was working out hardcore. And I always knew I wanted to get into bodybuilding. And after my amateur wrestling career was finished, because I was my senior in high school, I was at the gym doing legs 4 days a week.
Hmm.
That's all I wanted to do. And I got to tell you, man, after 8 weeks and that cast came off, I couldn't even fit in my jeans. And
Do
then
legs, guys. Don't skip
it
leg
was
day.
legs. Everyone needs to do legs, but I mean, this is back when we had hack squats and I was
Yeah.
doing vertical leg presses. I mean,
Yes.
I
You
just needed to
introduced
be
me
in
to
the gym.
that.
The vertical leg presses were the
Shout
best.
out to Bev Francis. Mike and I used to go every Friday night. It's the Mecca,
That's
the
right.
East Coast Mecca. Love that place.
Cup of coffee, and we just go over there. Was it the Whitestone Bridge? Because I live by the Whitestone
Mhm.
Bridge, right? I went to the Whitestone
Yep.
Bridge, and we got on the Jericho Turnpike. Was right up there. Now it's a Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym. I think it's a powerhouse gym out there.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, man. But I visualized getting on stage. I visualized competing. I visualized, so every time I was at the gym, I was visualizing what I wanted to do. So I can relate to you in that aspect in mapping out. I just use visualization as to what I want. Even now, I still visualize what I want to do with my life and goals I want to accomplish. And
Yep.
I think that's a really strong technique for people to incorporate because when you put that energy out there and you put that vision out there, it stews, it festers. And the more you
Yeah.
keep pushing forward, the more intentionality you have, the more you keep working towards that, eventually that vision becomes a reality.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you a question. Now that you're working for yourself full time, how do you
Mhm.
block out the noise? How do you block out the voices in your head that want to see you fail, that want to set you back, that does not want you to be successful?
I don't have too many of them left in my head. It's outside voices that I hear more of it than my own head. But I'm really good at my age now. I don't listen to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I just will tune it out. Everyone has an opinion, and I've always said this: some of the closest people will hate on you and your ideas and your vision. That's great. They don't understand it. They're not meant to understand it. It's not even their fault. Just keep forging your path and doing what you want to do, and if you have a vision, then stick to it. Yeah, you're gonna have days where you're like, you have that quick self-doubt. Like, what did I get myself into? Like, why did I leave a nice cushy thing? Because you remind yourself you left for a reason, and you always wanted to do this for a reason. Now that you're doing it, commit to it. You're almost like lying to yourself if you don't. And we always say live life with purpose and passion. Well, if you're just skating by doing the norm in the rat race, is that living your life to your truest purpose and passion? In my opinion, it's not. So
I
you
agree.
should do what you want to do
Do you ever feel overwhelmed at times? You know,
every
being
day.
on your own now and
Every
and
day.
not being able to breathe. It's almost like suffocating, right?
Of course, it's financial stress is the worst, and when you're on your own, there is zero income. That money tap is now closed. You have to dig your own well now and strike water and turn that faucet on. The water's money. So you, yeah, you can panic real quick, absolutely, but you have to make it happen. You have to see how you can tap into that as quickly as possible. And you and I, everyone knows this, we're not like tech geeks or tech gurus, or, I mean, we can barely set up the lights and cameras for this. You have to learn all this stuff in nowadays
Yes.
to be successful in business. Business has changed. The whole atmosphere around it has changed, and you have to be able to flow no matter how old or young you are.
Yeah. It's
So
just, if you don't, you're gonna perish. I mean, things
I get
evolve.
frustrated. I get frustrated every day. And I was on a call yesterday with the platform I'm building out for my company, Forever Progress, and literally I couldn't get the camera to work. This camera that I'm on now,
Mm.
and we're on the camera every week, and I'm like, what the fuck? Everything's plugged in, and it's just like this stupid shit bothers me, and I'm like, wow, I'm an idiot. I can't. And then I just looked, and I had it on the wrong setting in the Google whatever. You're the Google champ, but whatever it is, I had it on the wrong setting. Something simple, but like for us, that's hard because we didn't grow up with this. We don't know this. We have to check our things 50 times before we turn it on. Did the computer update? Like, this is all foreign to us, but you got to learn it, or else you're not going to go forward and make the money and do what you want to do.
And to go a little further with that, so the financial setbacks with zero income coming in,
Yeah.
how do you not let that affect your ability to make money now? Like, how is this setback for you, obviously with no income,
Hmm.
living your dream, living your passion? Has that affected your ability to kind of say, hey, I need to get back to where I was when I was working for a company? Or do you just say, or have you ever had those thoughts of saying, you know what, I'm just gonna pack it in. If I'm not making money by July, or if I'm not making money by December, I'm just gonna go back to finding a job. Do you find yourself kind of in that? Can you get into that thought process?
The later part of your question, no, I'm not like, oh, if I'm not making money by X, I'm just going to go back to it. No, I don't put that pressure on myself, and I don't. That's already, in my opinion, a little bit leaving the door open for failure, and I'm not allowing that. So, no, I don't give myself a timeline to make money, or else I go back. But I become more faithful in my vision and my confidence, where I know I'm onto something good. This is needed in the space that I'm building it in. It's never been done. People have always told me I should do it. So all the signs are there, and I'm just relying heavily on the faith that it's going to be successful. There is a need for it. There's already people that want to sign up. I haven't even launched it yet.
It's great.
So I'm not letting the no income sucks. Yes, it's scary, but I have faith everything will work out. And I'm leaning heavy on that.
You've always said that, and that's something you've always been true to with that thought process. And
Yeah.
things have happened for you pretty successfully over the years. So,
Yeah, sometimes.
but because having that thought process going into it definitely helps. And I
Yeah.
feel, I kind of feel like with setbacks, it kind of allows you, and I broke it down into three things, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Having a setback allows you to rediscover your purpose.
Yeah.
Have you been able to rediscover your purpose since not working for anybody, not having someone breathing down your neck, not having someone, manage you or put undue pressure on you or not treat you the way you want to be treated? I mean, have you rediscovered your purpose as to
Mhm.
why you want to do what you do?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I also rediscovered my purpose at my last 9 to 5. It showed me certain avenues that I want to pursue that I never thought I wanted to. and other avenues I'm really good at that I never thought I'd be good at, and would never. And I'm grateful for that. And I would never hate on that, because the 9 to 5, because it gave me the vision and the the foresight that I can do these other things. So yeah, I definitely rediscovered certain passions while I was at my 9 to 5. And then since I've left there and I'm building this, 100% have rediscovered other areas that I used to be interested in, that I would pursue again. One of them is the swimming. I want to do that. I want to coach again. And if you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I would have been like, no, I have no interest in that. It's funny. Here's a great example. Last summer, we just getting out of the summer. We're in what, September now?
Yeah.
So this past summer, it had to have been May or June. The swimming community up here is pretty small. Everyone knows each other, especially the swimmers that grew up together on travel teams, and a lot of them are coaches for country clubs and big swimming, systems. And we all reach out. One of the country clubs needed a head swim coach and also like a head pool director or whatever. And they called me, and I said no, thank you. And it's just funny because now I would probably say yes to that, because I want to get back into coaching. Is it what I want to do 100%? No, but it allows me to, fill that purpose jar, for lack of a better term, and still, build out and grow my companies.
Right. And it's something you
Yeah,
enjoy, and you
exactly.
gotta.
Yep.
I feel like with the world being the way it is, we don't really enjoy things the way we used to, because we feel pressures to make money, or pressures to,
It's yeah,
do certain
you nailed
things.
it on the head. We're not allowed to enjoy it, and the stuff that we consume on social media is most of it's fake. So everyone thinks they're enjoying it's all set up. It's all fake. Most of it's false pictures, and you notice everyone's getting on a private jet now. Oh, okay. Like, let's just keep it real. Just stop. Most of that's BS. Some of it's real, but most of it's BS. So you can't even enjoy yourself. Like, you see a young kid make, I don't know, $10 million a month doing YouTube, and he's getting on private jets. So how are you going to enjoy yourself, even if you're making? Let's just say you're killing it, making like $400,000 a year. How are you going to enjoy yourself when you're comparing yourself to what appears to be crushing it on your social media? There's no way. It's all by design, in my opinion, just to keep people stifled and not pursue their dreams and passions.
Well, Curtis said that last week when we
I
had him
agree with
on,
him.
about how it's kind of being used to manipulate, and
Absolutely.
the people.
They don't want people like us, starting small companies and doing what we want to do and call it bucking the system. It's the same thing when you work for a corporation. Yeah, I'm sure you can get a lot of perks, you can make a lot of money on a salary, but at the end of the day, you have zero control of what's going on. You have no voice, you have no opinion. Even if you have a better way of doing something which can make them more money, you can't say shit. And they don't want to hear it. They just want one big echo chamber. And that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we realize. I mean, as a country, we've suffered a lot of setbacks over the last couple of years, and next year we've talked about this every episode ad nauseum. How it's the most important election of our lifetime coming up next
Yeah.
year, can really determine the course of our nation going forward.
Yep.
Um, we've had setbacks in 401k, setbacks in with inflation,
Hmm.
setbacks with our military, setbacks, socially. So we've gone through a lot of, you know, uh, challenges over the last three years or so, I'd say, and it's important that we don't let that get in the way of our dreams. And we talk about this, especially with our business, in regards to pricing and income and producing for the masses, and trying to figure out a way to make it affordable for people, because we are all in the same boat, yet still monetizing on our god-given purposes, our god-given skills, our god-given passions, and support our families and support ourselves. So I think it's really important I don't watch the news. That's why your intros were a little lame today, and I apologize. Take full accountability for that. Next week, I will be watching Fox News. I will be watching Newsmax. I'll be watching other news outlets. I will get on that. But Greg, do you find that working for yourself and doing this now full time, have you rediscovered your passion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It ties into what I just said.
Yeah,
I definitely have rediscovered my purpose. I think as much as I always joke around and, say I don't like people and I want to live on top of a mountain by myself, which is mostly true.
me
I
too.
do feel one of my major purposes is to help people. And I enjoy doing that in certain arenas. One of them, the major one, is the real estate, and so that's why I'm doing Forever Progress. But yes, I've rediscovered that I want to help people succeed and grow both business but also personally, but I want to do it on my terms, not anybody else's. And that's what I've learned, and that's the difference from 9 to 5 to starting your own thing. It's you are free to do and say and set your vision in the motion you want it to without any other distractions or people that are out of touch that don't actually know their own industry that they're in, which we see all the time. So, yes, to answer your question.
Yeah, it's really cool when
And
you
it's a
can
good
make up your own
feeling.
hours. 100%.
Yep.
Especially when it's like, all right, if I want to take a 20-minute nap during the day, because I mean, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning every day.
Yeah.
So, like, I need a 20-minute nap or a half hour nap or even a
Mhm.
45-minute nap. Or maybe I just want to just kind of give my brain a break and turn on
Mhm.
like YouTube and watch some YouTube or whatever it is that will get my mind off of things. Because, working for yourself, your hours are never really what structured. They could be any hours of the day. Yeah,
They're
we have
like a
boundaries.
jellyfish. It's just
Yeah,
all over the place, but that comes with the territory of owning your own
right.
business. There is no, "Let me punch the clock." It's not like that. But it's cool. And I know you
I
enjoy
love
it,
it.
and I think
I
it's
love it.
cool because it's complete freedom. If my phone rings at 9 o'clock at night, do I wanna take it? Of course, I don't wanna take it, but that purpose, you know what? Yeah, it's cool because it is on my terms and I can do and help somebody no matter what. It is nice to be able to do that freely with
Yeah.
your own choice. I'm pro-choice with life things. I think we should all be able to make a choice, not be told what choice to make.
And that comes from experience. Working for
Yeah.
companies, we've accumulated a lot of life experience over the last,
Mhm.
25, 30 years or so. And I feel
Yep.
that might be the biggest lag in the generational gaps in regards to experience. While I commend anyone who can, start young, there have been books about Rich Dad, Poor Dad that Alex turned me on to. And, so a lot of people, entrepreneurs like our buddy Steve, like 25, 26, but he also paid his dues. He was working 7 days a week. He was putting the hours in.
Yeah, you
And
put that grind in.
I feel like that grind is kind of missing these days. I feel
Yeah,
like,
because they don't see you what's out there now, I'll use social media again. You don't see the grind. You just see the snapshot of, "Oh, look, I made it." But if you look at those people 10 years ago, they're in their grind, they're doing their thing. They come out 10 years later super successful. I'm not hating on it. I think that's great.
no,
And I think that I commend them on that, and they should be like, "Hey, wow, look what I've built." But what we don't see is them building it. People
yeah,
just see the end result and they think the end result is from Monday to Tuesday. They think it just happens overnight like that. And you can ask any of those guys that are killing it right now. They're like, talk to me 10 years ago. I was hurting. I was struggling. I had no money. But that's not sexy. That's not, visually pleasing. That's not the private jet or the cars or the trips or the whatever, the watches, all the bullshit you see. And it's and the other thing of that is when they do post those things, and they can post whatever they want, it's their life,
right.
people hate on it.
Of course they do.
So they hate on it. "Oh, why are you posting the watch?" Like, maybe he's proud of it because he crushed it and had the ability to get that. There is nothing wrong in that. Good for him. You know what? Post another watch tomorrow. Go buy another one because you can. That's what we don't see is the beginning of that. And I think that also, contributes to the younger generation, like you said, being lost in the building of the empire. They just see the empire.
Yeah, and I think as a society, we're really quick to judge. And
Absolutely.
and while it's wrong to judge people, we shouldn't be judging people. It's very easy to judge people,
People do
and
it.
people do it.
Yep.
Just having the cognizance to say, all right, it's not my place to judge. It's not my place to say what's right or wrong. I can only kind of just stay in my lane and
Hmm.
do me and
Yeah.
not think about what others think of me or what others think or what I think of others. It's not our place to judge, and it can get a slippery slope because then when you judge, then becomes resentment, and that gets you into your setback. And now you set yourself back because you allowed these types of behaviors to cloud your vision.
Yeah. And did you ever ask yourself, for all the haters out there, why are you hating on that person? Or maybe you're jealous. That's probably the number one thing, or I don't know. But to ask yourself, like, why are you hating? Oh, they posted themselves driving that car. Don't hate on it.
Yeah,
Maybe instead, maybe try to use that as some motivation to help you. Use
yeah,
it as a positive instead of hating on it. If you're gonna hate, just keep it to yourself then.
yeah. I agree. I agree. And one last thing I wanted to ask you, Greg, is rediscovering your presence. And when I say that to you, rediscover your presence. What does that mean to you? If I say, Greg, have you felt like you rediscovered your presence since you left your 9 to 5 job or your corporate job to pursue your company?
To me, that means I've rediscovered being present in the day to day. And within that day to day, whatever I'm doing, I'm fully there. Yeah, because there's a difference between being physically there and emotionally there. You want to be both. So, yes. So now that I've left, I'm in my home office. I'm working on the back end of the website. I am present to that and that only. It's like I'm in a tunnel, and that's all I'm doing. But then when that's over and I have to switch hats to the rum company, then okay, I'm focused and I'm present on that. I'm not letting all the other things. I'm not being pulled in a million different directions in a negative. Yes, I'm being pulled in different directions, but it's controlled. So I'm not just, starting something here and then it's pivoting real quick and doing that. No, I'm completely present. And then when I'm with my family, I'm present. I'm actually on my phone less and less, which that's what I really want. So
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. And I'll take it a step further, rediscovering your presence in who you are, what you are, how you are, when you are. And along those lines, I think when you're working for someone or you're in that rat race that you talked about earlier, it's easy to lose who you are because you get wrapped up in your work, which
Absolutely.
we can get wrapped up in our work, but it's different when you work for yourself because
Mhm.
you're not chained to a company,
Yeah.
a fictitious person, because companies aren't real people, but they're fictitious.
Mhm.
Whereas you're working for yourself now, you're the captain of the ship, so everything falls on you, whether you're successful, whether you have setbacks, comebacks, because you know the ebbs and flows of things. So I think
Yep.
rediscovering your presence in those areas is extremely important when you have a setback. When problems arise or something happens or a mistake is made, discover who you are.
Yeah.
Discover how you are. Discover like when you are, where you are, understanding like, hey, my footprint's been established or I'm establishing my footprint, and use that as a way to get out of that setback and to kind of stay on course with the vision of the comeback as to where you want to go going forward.
Absolutely. That's well said. And mistakes are going to happen. That's fine. Just learn from them.
Yep.
And one mistake or even a couple mistakes, they don't define, like you said, who you are. They don't define you as a person. It's just a mistake. We all make them. But as long as we learn from them, I think mistakes are good in building a business because it saves
Oh yeah.
time and money. If
Oh
you
yeah.
learn from it, if you keep doing the same mistake over and over, that's a problem. But if you learn from them, listen, you just saved yourself money down the road because you're never going to do that again. And you've learned from it. So
Everything's trial and error, man. Everything's
that's
trial
it.
and error.
Especially when you're forging your own path. Like, what do you think? The frontiersmen that were forging west back in the day. What do you think they knew what they were? They didn't know what was beyond that valley or those mountains. They just went.
Yeah.
So you think they made mistakes? Of course they did, but they also learned what
Yeah.
not to do. when they keep going forward. So
Yeah, and that's a great comparison. That's a great parallel that you drew there between that and what people go experience,
yeah.
every day. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this up, Greg? Anything do you feel like we're missing? Any thoughts come to mind? Anything
No, I just think,
evoking?
yeah, I just want to remind people, listen, setbacks are going to happen. They happen to all of us. I don't give a shit who you ask. Everyone honestly has them. Some people have more than others. But you also see those truly successful people, they have setbacks too. Everything's just scaled differently. $100 to somebody might be a tremendous amount, but $100 to somebody else might not be. But the scaled level of it is always the same. The bottom line is always the same. So setbacks are setbacks, whether you're paycheck to paycheck or you're multimillionaire, you're gonna have them. You got to learn from them, and just don't let it derail you. We say this all the time. Stay on your path and just keep moving forward.
I agree. And to add on top of that, if you're battling addiction, there's people out there that are alcoholics, gamblers, whether it's, pornography, anything that is holding you back. You
Pre
have to have
workouts.
pre-workouts, testosterone. You need to have resources and community. That also helps too, because you might have an urge to drink. You might have an urge to go place a bet. You may have an urge to watch porn. There are resources out there for you. There are people that you can reach out to, whether it's going to a meeting or if you have a sponsor or if you pray, join a group. Use those things as a way to avoid you from having a setback. And if something slips up, some things like addiction, it's a disease. And, there may be times where you might be tempted or it might happen. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, you gotta be able to have the wherewithal to get back up. And obviously, for people that are battling addiction, please use professional resources. Obviously, I'm not a guru on addiction, even though I've battled my own demons in my own life. And I fall down. Believe me, this is not an episode of creating an image of perfection, because I am far from it, and I fell down this weekend, as a matter of fact. But I got back up. I assessed the situation to understand, hey, what did I do? Let me analyze what I did. Oh, I had a few beers and I had a few shots. Okay, no big deal. I didn't do anything. It wasn't crazy. Not like it was 15 years ago. But do I want to do that going forward? No. But I haven't done that in, I don't know, probably a
You
year
can
and a
do that
half.
when I come down to visit
Yeah. Yes. As long as we're in my apartment.
or on the golf course.
Or on a golf course. I agree.
Mhm.
Greggy T, any final thoughts? Anything you want to add, mention? Where can people reach out to us, find us, ask us for personal appearances?
EmpowerManPodcast.com. Hit us up, DM us on Instagram at Empowerment Podcast. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe and follow us, because we are gaining some good momentum. A lot of different people are reaching out to us, so we want to be able to, talk to everybody as much as possible and help as many people as we can. I think we provide an open platform no matter what the topic is, and that's our goal. No judgment here. So if you want us to talk about something specific, if you want us to bring certain guests on, let us know, because it is Mike and I answering all the messages.
Any feedback is good feedback. That's the
Absolutely.
only way you're going to grow. And Greggy T, doing this on a Tuesday afternoon has been a real treat.
Yep.
So I thank you. This was an awesome conversation. And I look forward to getting our t-shirts out in the near future from
Yep.
Nine Line. I look
In the
forward
works.
to seeing more people with EmpowerMan coffee mugs.
Yep. Working on an event possibly in 2024 down in Florida.
The
Oh,
free
and then
state of Florida.
yes, the free state of Florida, and also the Navy SEAL Danny Dietz Foundation is having a uh fundraiser for I'm looking it up now. Hold on one second. So they're having their third annual night for veterans. It
Cool.
is going on, let's see here. Bear with me one second. Go to their website. It's going to give all the details. And what I did, I purchased a ticket and I reached out to them and I donated the ticket to a veteran that maybe doesn't have the means to go. So I want to pay it forward because they're a kick-ass organization. I really believe in their cause. So if you want to do that, I think that's a great thing to do. I also have the contact for the person when you do that. I can give it to you because they have to flag the purchase and make sure they can donate it properly. So it's pretty cool.
Maybe we can
Check it
put that
out.
on our Instagram page and make that. I know you're
Yeah.
really good at that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you're really good at that stuff. So yeah, because I
The
would
event will
love to
be
do that
over by the
myself.
time I figure it out.
Or by the time I figure out how to click and buy a ticket. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely like to do that and encourage everyone out there to do that. The Danny Dietz Foundation's, we're
Yeah,
big supporters
I'll
of
put it on
them.
our Instagram. Yep. Big shout out to them. Pretty cool. So it's a great way to pay it forward. You can always purchase something and then donate it to
Yep,
a veteran or a first responder or anybody that you want to give it to. It's a good gesture.
that's right. And usually we open with that, but because I was too amped up for our conversation today, and I've had my third cup of coffee, Cafe Bustelo, mind you. I got to give a shout out to our firemen and women, our policemen and women, our first responders. I am so sorry it took me so long to acknowledge you guys. Thank you for what you guys do to keep our communities safe and our municipalities safe and free.
Absolutely. And as always, we support our military personnel. Shout out to all the boys and girls out there here at home and overseas. Stay safe and everybody, America first. Remember that
Always. God bless and
always.
have a great week, everyone.
All right.